Better thinking, faster decisions, bigger ROI. This is the Finding 12 Minutes podcast. The idea is simple. If you can find 12 minutes of efficiency in your day, you will gain an hour every week, and that changes how we work. Each episode is focused on practical ways to use AI, technology, and smarter strategies to help you move faster, think clearer, and get more done with less effort. So let's find your 12 minutes. In this episode, I want to talk about building an AI-ready organization. I recently just completed my dissertation for my doctorate around focusing on leadership capabilities when it comes to developing, incorporating, and integrating artificial intelligence within an organization. So starting with the abstract, and I think it's a good place to start because I think that gives us a good framework and grounding of what we're going to talk about today. Organizations are investing heavily in artificial intelligence, but we're starting to realize that there's value is fragmented. The initiatives are fragmented. We have weak governance. There's a lack of strategic alignment in most organizations of what we do with artificial intelligence. So that AI, or at least AI adoption, is fundamentally a leadership challenge rather than a technology problem. So the idea behind all of that is it's not a technology issue. Like we all have access to the technology. It really does come down to it's a leadership issue. So it's not a technology problem, it's a leadership problem. And that really goes into introducing this leadership AI readiness framework that's really built on 5 separate dimensions. First dimension is strategic alignment and governance, force readiness, technology itself, and then data, and then finally any external pressures when it comes to that technology. My paper really demonstrated that organizations are achieving sustained AI value, align these initiatives to business outcomes. They establish clear ownership. They design AI in human collaboration into their workflows. It's not an AI only workflow. It's not a human only workflow. It really is that AI to human collaboration. Further, I think there's a maturity model that we used, and there's a 5-step action plan that I think that would help guide leaders in terms of being able to diagnose their readiness, align the strategy, enable that governance, and really develop that workforce capability that's going to enable the scaling of the AI technology throughout the whole organization. So the central conclusion to this abstract or this paper was really built on successful AI adoption depends on a deliberate leadership action in organizational alignment and not necessarily an increase in investment in tools. When you think about that framework about accelerating adoption, accelerating capability, and having that strategic alignment, it's just not about the technology itself or the product itself. It has to do with the leadership's capability to manage both the readiness, the alignment, and then being able to drive it through the organization, through culture. When we think about why this is not a technology issue and why it's a leadership issue, what you find is most AI initiatives often stall during fragmented pilots or disconnected from the strategy, not really aligned to the overall strategic plan that an organization has. And that becomes problematic because what you find is that certain teams are experimenting, certain teams are not experimenting. None of it is scalable. Then as the investment increases, the outcomes either remain inconsistent or non-existent. What we would really want to do is that if we reframe this as AI adoption as a leadership issue or leadership capability, then we can focus on practical frameworks for building an AI readiness across the 5 dimensions. And those 5 dimensions, again, are strategic alignment, governance, workforce readiness, technology and infrastructure, and then finally just any external pressures, whether that's marketplace pressures, whether that's board pressures, investors, etc. For organizations to succeed in doing all 3, they need to be able to align those business outcomes. When you utilize technology, particularly artificial intelligence, what is the problem that you're trying to solve and how is that aligning to your business outcomes? And then from there, it goes back into you really do need to establish clear ownership of who owns these tools and able to drive those through the organization, and then basically design the systems where humans and AI work together. The organizations that move beyond experimentation and convert AI into a core operational capability are the ones that have a path forward that is very clear. AI success requires deliberate leadership action and not more tools. So again, it's not a tool or technology issue, it's a leadership issue. The one problem that I discovered when I was writing my paper is that there's a lot of investment without any value. So despite all the investments that are happening in AI technologies, what you're finding is many organizations are failing to see any satisfactory return on that investment. This is often due to lack of clear strategic direction, disconnect between the initiatives and the core business objectives. It's about incorporating artificial intelligence where it doesn't need to be. You're spending all this money and not seeing any value in this. So as AI continues to move from experimentation to expectation, or in this instance, we're focused on return on investment or ROI, it's now influencing decision making and operations and competitive positioning across multiple industries. But despite this shift, most organizations continue to struggle with translating that AI investment into measurable outcomes. And then common patterns start to emerge. AI initiatives operate in silos, pilot projects fail to scale, decision making authority is unclear, efforts that are driven by tools and not strategy, and then the results become very predictable. You get duplication of effort, you get inconsistent results, and then ultimately you end up with limited impact. So you have all investment and no value. The next thing, when you think about from an insight perspective, AI as a leadership problem, what you find is that AI is just not a technological challenge in a lot of ways. It's fundamentally a leadership challenge. And why is it a leadership challenge? Well, effective AI adoption requires leaders to do several things: define a clear vision for AI's role in the organization, align AI initiatives with strategic business outcomes, foster a culture of experimentation and continuous learning, establish robust governance and ethical guidelines, and develop the workforce skills needed to collaborate with AI. Again, it's more that human AI collaboration versus AI versus not. Therefore, leadership is the driving force when it comes to successful AI implementations. If we kind of pivot to the framework, leadership in terms of AI readiness, this framework provides a comprehensive approach for building an AI-ready organization. It encompasses really 5 dimensions, and we've already touched on these: alignment, governance, culture, workforce, and then technology, data readiness, and then the external environment, the competitive pressures, understanding they're responding to those external trends, those competitive pressures, regulatory things. Depending on your industry, you may have more of that. But each of these 5 things are key to where when you find out that they become AI ready, the interaction of these leadership capabilities, those governance, the external, internal, the data readiness piece, you realize that from an organizational context, if you take a broader view of why this is important, you see that it impacts the organization, the whole organization across the board. It's just not the technology in and of itself. It's going to impact your M&A, your product development, R&D, governance, legal, sales, marketing, learning development, even your innovation. Taking it from a leadership capabilities perspective and not just a technology perspective, you realize that there's impacts across the whole organization, which then becomes more of an economic wide. The question then becomes what do AI-ready organizations do differently? AI-ready organizations distinguish themselves through several key practices, in my opinion. One is that they're aligning to the business outcomes. They prioritize AI initiatives that directly contribute to their strategic goals. Second, they assign clear ownership. They establish clear roles and responsibilities for AI projects, ensuring accountability. The third thing that they do is they establish governance early. They are proactive in developing ethical guidelines and governance frameworks for artificial intelligence use. The fourth thing that they do is they design human and AI workflows. They focus on creating collaborative workflows that leverage the strength of both the human and the AI. It's not about replacement, it's about augmentation. And then the last thing that they do is they invest in workforce capability. They prioritize training, develop programs that equip employees with the skills they need to work with the tools. When you think about that, that all leads into this concept of an action plan. To build an AI-ready organization, most leaders should follow these 5 steps. You need to diagnose your current state, assess your organization's current AI maturity level across all 5 dimensions of this framework. The second thing you need to do is align leadership, secure leadership commitment and alignment to the strategic vision of artificial intelligence and its use. The third thing that you do is make sure you establish the governance early. Develop clear ethical guidelines, policies, and processes for AI usage and deployment. The fourth thing that you should do is you enable the workforce, focus on the culture, invest in training, develop programs to build AI skills, and foster that culture of collaboration both between human to human and human and AI. And then the last thing that leaders should do is focus intentionally on scaling. Prioritize all initiatives that deliver the greatest business value and scale them strategically. Bringing this thing home, wrapping up this next 12 minutes. The focus is not on tools. It is on how leaders think, act, and structure their organizations to support AI and to be AI ready. AI is not merely a technological tool, it's a strategic leadership capability. By embracing the principles outlined through these frameworks, organizations can unlock the full potential of AI, drive innovation, and create a sustainable competitive advantage. The success of AI depends on visionary leadership, strategic alignment, robust governance, and a commitment to workforce development. Those who invest in these areas will be well positioned to thrive in the age of AI. So just remember, AI is just not a tool. It changes how decisions are made and how organizations are structured and how work is performed. And the key to all of this is leadership must manage all three of those.
And that's your 12 minutes. If you found value in this, share it with someone who needs to work smarter, not harder. And remember, small efficiencies compound. Find 12 minutes a day and the results take care of themselves. I'll see you in the next episode.